Hi everyone and welcome for today's video. This is going to be a bit different because you can see me sitting in front of the camera in our living room, and it is going to be a bit longer today. So grab yourself a cup of tea, lean back, relax and enjoy the ride. What is the background of this video? I was asked for a couple of times now and I promised to make this video for a month now, and it is actually about my way into art. So where I started, where I see myself at the current point of my life and where my future goals are actually located. And during the video I'm going to show you some of my really early paintings and drawings, which are really not good, and some of the paintings that I did through the years. And this is really not meant to be like a show-off video. This is more like a motivational, inspirational video that I want to show you that actually anyone can get to the point where he or she wants to be. Because back then when I started, I had no art background. I just didn't know anything. And it started about in school time when I was about 16 years old, so 20 years ago. And there was a guy in my class that I had a crush on, and he was good in painting and drawing. So I felt I had to be good in painting and drawing as well, just to be recognized. It was not the case. But even back then, although I did not really notice it myself, my arts teacher did see something in me that I just couldn't see at this point. So I kind of was and felt blessed during school time, because even if I wanted to create something off topic, she would allow me to do so. So if the task for the class was to paint or draw something and I didn't feel it and asked her if I can paint something differently instead, she would agree for it. And this was kind of cool for me to motivate myself to jump deeper into arts, because she, I guess, could see something in me that I couldn't at this point. But this just aside, this was more or less just a small side note in my life career. So during the next 15 years to come, I kind of had an on-off relationship with arts. So I had a couple of years where I painted more, some years where I painted less, and some where I didn't even paint at all. So instead of having like a learning curve, I more like had a flat line. And I didn't improve so much at all. But I always had this inner feeling that I probably should continue the path more than I did, until 2013 I made a decision to jump deeper into it, to improve my skills, to draw and paint more, to just one day get to a point where I can call myself an artist, probably live from it, because this still is my life goal, so to speak. So one day being able to live from my arts and sustain myself by just painting, drawing, creating, this would be my goal. So I really started to test out new things in 2013 onwards, and still not constantly, but increasing over time in the amount of art that I created, that I tested, and so on. And here comes the first tip that I want to throw in at this point. When it comes to your paintings and drawings, it is so easy to get distracted and demotivated, especially nowadays on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatsoever, from people and artists who are just better than you are. There is always someone better than you. It's always the case. So there are people that are just more experienced because they are into arts perhaps 20 years more, or they have a skill set that you just cannot reach at this point, probably because they only work in one medium and you explore many mediums, as I do. So there's always an excuse to say, oh, this one is so much better, why do I even bother trying? Good question, but why not? So coming back to the original question, always compare your own skills to your skills you had a year back, 2 years back, 3 years back, just to see how much you improved over the time on your own skills. This is way more motivating for yourself than comparing with others. Of course, it's a good thing to look at others, to see what they are making, how they make things. Perhaps you can learn from their techniques and adapt them for yourself. This is always a good thing, but probably do not really compare their skill level to your own. Always try to improve on it by watching others. I just do the very same thing. And something that comes along the way is the fact that one calls you talented. So especially recently, where I started to upload more of my realism or more realistic paintings and drawings on my YouTube channel as well, I start gaining more and more comments that people wish to be as talented as I am. So this is also part of the video where I want to get to motivate you to create and test out new things. When it comes to me, the definition of talent is something you are kind of born with. So you just have it. And this is completely not the case when it comes to arts. So I would really not say that I'm kind of talented. I would say I'm skilled. And this is a thing that grew over the years. So when you come across a person, you always meet them at their current state of life, their current skill set, their current kind of being that they are. So no one actually sees the hard work that was put into it the years before. And just calling it talent would imply that this just comes naturally, so that he had no effort into it, creating this level where they are at the moment. And this is just not the case. So when you compare my early works and the work that I'm currently doing, there are countless hours of practice and failure in between, which normally no one actually ever sees. And most artists tend to not want to show their failures, of course, because they might be ugly. But you have seen some of my early works, so you see my progress here. And don't get me wrong, I really get and take the compliment being called talented, but it has an opposite side of really hard work. And this is also where it's actually based from. So I'm not talented when it comes to art. I more like have this perhaps naturally born affinity to art, to spend more time into the topic than someone else who is probably more into baking or woodcrafting or reading books whatsoever. So I'm kind of good in baking, but would I call myself talented? No. I have a beginner's, perhaps elevated skill in baking. Am I good at woodcrafting? Not at all. Totally not. My dad, he is awesome, but I'm not in this. So bottom line, everything comes to skill set and your mindset when it comes to a certain topic. So probably I was born with a natural affinity for arts, spending more time improving where others probably would have thrown everything away way early on the road. So this is perhaps my kind of talent, that I just want to spend more time improving myself on this sector, like others want to improve in baking or woodcrafting or clayworks or singing. I'm not good at singing. But to not be in front of the camera all the time, I'm going to put the camera down to our table here, and I'm going to show you some of the paintings that I did from 2013, I think, onwards in small, medium and larger sizes. Just some of those that I'm still having here, and so that you can see all the steps in between. It is going to be different kinds of mediums because I always jump between medium, so pencils, charcoal, acrylics, oils, whatever, name it. So just to give you an impression of what I did and how things looked over the years. So let's begin in 2014, when I just learned about using colored pencils, and these are some of my early portraits that I did with them. So just going through there. And at this point I really hesitated on using too much color. So all of them, especially those two, are pretty light. I didn't use much of the color pencil. I have not so much contrast as I would have needed. And this was still one of my early stages by using them. This one here is made in charcoal and some blue charcoal, perhaps, if you can see it in the eyes. I was pretty good using charcoal at this point, because this was the medium I did the most so far. But I also did more and more steps into color pencil. This was one where I added more contrast. I again used more of the pencil. I picked the wrong papers though, but it has more contrast at least. This one's pretty nice. It is a gray paper and black and white charcoal, so I love the contrast and the look that one can achieve by using grayish paper or toned paper in general. This probably is one of the paintings that I'm most proud of when it comes to color pencil. It was the first one where I really went into the contrast and used more pencil in there. So really got into deep colors and bringing actually some pigments onto the paper. So really love this drawing here. This again was something I experimented with. It is a white paper and charcoal, and I wanted to see if I can kind of glaze something over it. So I used colored pastel pigments and glazed them over there. So just by rubbing them over there to see if I can tint it to make it look like a sepia or aged drawing. And it kind of worked, so I really did not expect it. I also have a video about where I made this on this channel. So it was an experiment, didn't expect the turnout, but it really came out great. So in case you don't know him, this is Tom Daly, world famous diver, and I just love watching his videos on his channel, and he's cute, so I decided to paint him or draw him. This is again a toned paper, black and white charcoal. I really like this outcome. I also started experimenting with watercolor a couple years ago, so this was the same painting tried in watercolor. Not my favorite one, but it's still a learning curve. And this actually is an oil painting that I did 2 years back now. It's on paper, as you can see, and I was experimenting in skin tones back then. So I was pretty new to oil colors in 2017. I did not really use them because I was horrified before them. This was among the first that I did, and I really like how this turned out. It still has some flaws, so it's not perfect, but for one of the first attempts, I'm really proud of it. So scaling up things a bit, we again start in 2013, and these two are my Star Wars Online characters. You know, game nerd. So this actually was my very first attempt of using pastels on a completely wrong paper. I used the pastel pencils. I was really not thrilled about them. I didn't like how they laid down. They didn't give me the contrast that I wanted. At this point, I kind of thought pastels are nothing for me. Don't like them, cannot handle them. So the painting itself or drawing itself kind of turned out somewhat nice, but I can see so many things that I would have loved to change and to make look better. So yeah, this was my first decision to not use pastels any longer. You will see a bit later in the video that using the correct papers can really make a big difference to mediums. So this again was just charcoal. This is my Sith character. I really loved how this one turned out. But again, I was pretty used using charcoal, so this was not so challenging for me. But every drawing you do kind of improves your skill set. This again gives you the moment. It is gray toned paper using black and white charcoal again. It was a viewer's request, so yeah, really like how this one turned out. It's really cute. This one here I'm really proud of. This is one of my favorites that I did in pastels. Yes, I did grab pastels after that again. It is 1 year later, so this is 2014. It is still kind of the wrong paper for pastels, but this one has so many layers which were fixed in between with so many different fixatives and layered up layer and layer and layer. So it was a really messy thing, but I just love it. It is completely not a color scheme that I intended. So actually this was meant to be looking like a brownish skin tone. Totally not. It looks like gold, but it kind of makes it even more striking. So this one is really one of my favorites. Love it. And I used colored pencils. So this one again was a viewer request. It's kind of large for the screen. It is done in colored pencils. It's a pretty large one, so you can see compared to my hand. Yeah, it really took me a long time to finish it. It doesn't has the smoothness that I wished for. So you can see in the close-ups, but I really like how this one turned out. I was really proud because this was one of the largest colored pencil pieces that I ever did. It took me about forever to complete this, but I'm really proud of it. Again, some charcoal. So when you have a medium where you feel really comfortable with and you feel like you can achieve more than before, this might be your most favorite medium. And I sticked for charcoal for a really long time because this was the medium I felt to be most capable in, so I can control it better, I can erase it, I can change things, I can control the values. So I really felt comfortable using charcoal, which you probably can see in my entire drawings and paintings, that this is the medium I'm most comfortable in. But I always try to achieve the same looks and feel in other mediums, which kicks you back to a beginner stage when you start with a new medium. So even if you are a master in charcoal, for example, which I don't want to say I am, and you start out with colored pencil or with acrylics, oils, gouache, whatever, you just really jump down to a new beginner's level and have to scale up your skill set on this medium, which is just a normal thing to do. So again, a really joyful drawing, again grayscale paper and black and white charcoal. This is pretty easy when you start out using charcoal. So instead of using a white paper, which gives you a couple of headaches on between using charcoal for really good shading, this gray tone paper gives you a kickstart because you only need to care for the darks and you can use the white for the whites, so the highlights. So it gives you an easier time to get a hang for the new medium perhaps. So my recommendation, if you want to start out using charcoal, gray tone paper is a good way to do this. And we started 2015. So this one is again charcoal, of course, on a white paper this time. Really liked how this one turned out. And one of my most favorite ones when I use charcoal is this one here. I also have a video about making this one. I actually did this one on a train on the way to our vacation. So this took me about 3 hours to complete. I just used the charcoal and my fingers to create this, and then eraser to some highlights and so. But yeah, this one is really one of my favorites, I think. And I started my first steps into watercolor. I had no encounters with watercolors before, except what you use in school, but this is way different kind of chapter. So this is really artist watercolor. I still have to improve so much on this. But for my very first attempts, I really was kind of happy with the results. I tested new papers, different kind of papers that you can use for it, which effect you can get, some watercolor effects. So the first thing that I encountered is that you should use way less pigment to get a beautiful effect than you use in colored pencil or oil colors as such. So this high contrast kind of feeling that I always had is kind of distracting when you use the watercolors. So this is quite a learning curve for me. And in 2017 I found that pastel paper can really make a difference in drawing with pastels. So these were just some smaller sketches, some little girls that I tried. Children are really difficult for me to paint and draw. So I'm really used to the male model drawings and paintings back then. So I wanted to experiment how I can do females and children because they are so much differently structured than male muscle models. So yeah, this was kind of new for me. This one as well. I did this in vacation, on our vacation on the ship. So kind of happy with this one. And this is my most beloved pastel painting that I ever did, I must say. So this was one of my followers. I really loved the photo. I asked her if I can draw it for her. And this is just pastels on pastel matte paper. And the pastel matte paper really makes the game change. So compared to the regular paper, normal paper that I did for my online character, you can see what kind of difference this makes in saturation and how smooth everything blended. So this was so far the most advanced painting, drawing, I always mix these up, that I did in pastels. So they still kind of scare me, so I don't have the feeling that I'm really a master or even close to master them. But I really love how this one turned out. It makes me proud to look at it, and this is a good step for each and every artist, that you have at least a couple of paintings and drawings that makes you proud when you look at them. So, and as you can see so far, I have spent countless hours improving myself on different kinds of mediums, which is normal, but no one actually ever sees the time that you put into this. So this really comes with dedication. And the more dedicated you are to your skills and your goals, so to speak, the easier it's going to get switching between mediums after a while. Let's go to the largest ones, and they might not really fit into the screen, so I have to put them sideways. So I ordered them the wrong way. So this is 2017. Here I experimented with my regular knowledge of charcoal drawing, and I added a watercolor background just to see what effect it can give me, how it looks in the end, if it works out or not, if the paper warps. So this again was an experiment. The paper did not warp, but you have to put this on in layers, let it dry, put the next layer on, and so to not have it warped. So I really like how this looks. I did a couple of those for commissions. I really like this. So yeah, perhaps something you want to experiment yourself. This drawing here I also made during our vacation on the cruise. So she was actually a waitress on the cruise, and she was so fun and lovely and so sweet, so that she asked us to, if I can draw her. She sent me a photo, and this is the one that I just drew for her. Going back to 2015, I experimented in larger sizes, comparing different photos on the same drawing using different kind of techniques. So this is a regular charcoal drawing with a pastel background. This is a brownish pastel painting, like a sepia look, and this is colored pencil with a charcoal background. I just want to see if the entire design setup kind of works. It's the same dude, so I think it's kind of nice. I really like it, so it's a fun drawing. Here is something different. I wanted to see how this one works for me, if I like the concept or not. Probably you don't know what this shows, so if you look a bit closer to it, you probably will see it. I will not say what it shows, but you can comment me down below in the video description what you can see in this. So, and one of the largest charcoal drawings probably that I did is this one here. I really enjoyed making this one. I learned so much from it. It was back in 2014. It took me about, I don't know, 30 hours or so to complete, but I'm really happy with this. Especially how the hands turned out. I so much hate drawing and painting hands. I'm just not good at it. So I try to avoid it as often as I can, but here it turned out really great. The faces look nice, the expressions are kind of natural, so this is one of my most favorite couple drawings that I ever did, I'd say. Here another concept idea that I did, combining 4 photos on a square piece of paper. This is colored pencil. It was back in 2014. So I wanted to have a couple of expressions on his face here on the photo. It's also kind of nice, but looking at it after a couple years now, I can really see some flaws, so that I did way too much saturation. I could have used way more pigments to get the saturation higher and give it more depth and realism, but it again also is a fun drawing, I'd say. And in 2013, so my earliest ones from this series here, I tried some loose sketches on anatomy. So like really quick sketches on anatomy, how our muscles and body figures and so are built. And this is a female one. This is a random one which I was experimenting on, but well, it's kind of, I don't know. I don't know. And a male model one is this here. So kind of liked how this one turned out as well. It's kind of mystical, and I like how the muscles turned out. So yeah, those are actually some of the larger ones. And again, as you can see, a lot of hours were spent into those larger ones as well. Bottom line, what I want to address with this video is that I would really love to hear that I kind of encouraged you to try new techniques as well. Jump out of your comfort zone. What worse can happen than just failing on an idea? So I had so many fails which I obviously didn't film or photograph, but for one success I usually had about 3 or 4 fails on my go. It got less over time, so when you get more skills, you of course also learn how to correct things, how to prevent things to happen. So it's getting easier. So as hard as the beginning stages are for each medium and for each technique, it is going to get better over time. And no one says that realism has to be the goal to achieve for you. So if you like the acrylic pouring perhaps, as I also did for a couple of years now, and want to paint or draw something, well, actually more like paint something onto it, why not? If this painting is going to be expressionistic or impressionistic or realistic, surrealistic, whatever you're up to, just try it out. And if it fails, you have learned something new or to avoid the next time. And not to forget, in the end, everything is supposed to be fun for you. So you never really should kind of pressured to make some art. So as soon as you lose your fun into it, you should probably rethink the medium or the topic that you are painting and drawing, just to mix up things, to get you motivated again and to get the juices flowing, you know? Yeah, this was enough rambling for today's video. Thanks for everyone who joined until the very end of the video. I would really love to hear your thoughts and comments in this video, because this was a different kind of video for me, getting you a bit more personal information and my background story and some rambling about my thoughts. Of course, you can also let me know what you think about the artworks and which one you liked the most or which you didn't like. As you've seen, a couple of them I really like, some were kind of okay. Yeah, it's just some taste. And when I look at them a couple years back, I can see what I would have changed if I painted it now. So this is the good thing on it, that you can see how much you improved over the years. And for some mediums, it's really a jump. So from this level to this level, and for some mediums it is just a hop. So from here to here perhaps. So, but this is totally okay. For a medium that you have worked for so many years in, like in charcoal, because it's the most easy and convenient one, you might not see amazing jumps for 1 year. But if you start out with a medium like oil colors, you might be at this level and 1 year later you might be there. And it's always easier to get into a new medium, like, I don't know, whatever medium you choose for. And you do not start here, you might start here, because you already gained the knowledge from all the other attempts and fails that you got over time. So yeah, I am going to clean up this and pack this away again. I thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked it and are curious what my future career is going to bring, which results I'm going to share on YouTube with you, I would be happy if you click the subscribe button, hit the bell to get notifications. Social media links are down below in my video description if you want to get in touch with me. Again, please comment down below what you think about this video and what I've said and showed you. Yeah, thanks from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for your time, thank you for watching, and other than that, I hope to see you in my next video. Have a great day. Bye bye.